Have you ever considered how lucky we, as watch enthusiasts, are that someone a long time ago decided there should be 60 minutes in an hour and two sets of 12 hours in a day? Also, that each minute should be divided into 60 seconds. We take it for granted that our days are segmented in this manner. But what if it wasn't? How crazy would that be? Would our world fall apart? What do you think it would do to our watch designs? To examine this potential upheaval in our measuring the passage of time, it is important to understand that the hierarchical relationship between seconds, minutes, hours, and days are not built from the bottom up. That is, someone didn't decide the length of a second and build up from there. It was done in a top-down fashion. I discussed the beginnings of time in a video about the advancements made in watches. I'll leave a link to that video at the end so you can watch it next. For now, it is sufficient to understand that about 5,000 years ago, the Sumerians adopted the sexagesimal system, a means of counting based on 60. Hence, they divided lots of measurements into 60 equal parts, one being an hour into minutes. This turns out to be convenient for watchmaking, given how many more factors there are in 60 versus 100, the most important being 12. What if the hours in a day were divided into 100 minutes each, rather than 60? What would our watches look like? The typical watch today is three-handed, with 12-hour markers around the dial. In between the hour markers, usually on the same track, are the minute markers. Since 12 is a factor of 60, each 5-minute interval falls nicely on an hour index, and there are 4 additional track marks between each hour index. Now consider the horror if the Sumerians had decided to divide an hour into 100 minutes. 12 is not a factor of 100. If you put 100-minute tick marks around a dial, then these tick marks would only align with every third hour index. Each hour index would represent 8 1/3 minutes. This would make the dial a bit confusing and messy. This is a similar problem to military watches like the Elgin World War II watch when using a 24-hour dial. Except here, each hour index has 2.5-minute tick marks. They alleviated this problem somewhat by having hour indices only every 2 hours. Or they printed 2 scales or tracks on the dial. Here the track for the 24-hour indices and the other for minutes with 60 tick marks were far enough away from each other as to not look confusing. However, with 60 minutes in each hour, the scales for the minutes and hours nicely align. So let's thank those Sumerians for using the sexagesimal system. Although they had no idea it would make our watches simpler, they made the right decision. If you want to make the right decision, you should view my video here, which covers the advancement in watches throughout time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.